tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
See on AfterBuzz TV. You guys couldn't just hear me for those first 10 seconds.
Take 2.
All right, guys. Hello and welcome to AfterBuzz on UFC on AfterBuzz.
This is gonna be a fun show.
My name is Daria Berenato, and I'm here with my co-host, my boys, 3 of them today, Mr. George Hermoza, Mr. J Tan, and Mr. Devon Sawa, actor and UFC superfan.
That Devon Sawa. Welcome.
Is there more than one?
What?
Is there more than one Devon Sawa?
Of course, a few.
There's mimics too, right?
Yeah, all sorts of them.
And clones.
No, I'm the only one.
Cyborgs.
I'm the only one.
Oh,
I'm the only one.
Yeah, but he's had mimics on Twitter,
I have.
right?
Well, Instagram. There was a fake on Instagram.
And he was good at it too, right?
He or she, I don't know.
Wow.
Somebody.
They were good at it.
They were really legitimately trying to be me. They were like they were saying, you know, I had a great day today. I had good dinners. Like it was kind of creepy.
When it was like a bad date and shitty days.
Yeah. Well, no, they would read my Twitter,
and then they would
respond on Instagram with the same, with kind of giving me updates as if they were me. So, but I fixed that. It's now, I don't think they're doing it anymore.
It's just you now.
It's just me, but I don't really use it.
Okay.
I won't give up Twitter to go anywhere else. Twitter only, no Instagram.
So if you guys want to talk to Devon Sawa,
no
the
Facebook.
Real Devon Sawa, go to
on
Twitter.
It's Devon E. Sawa on Twitter.
There you go, guys. So. All right, UFC on Fox 15, Machida versus Rockhold took place Saturday evening in Newark, New Jersey, my hometown, guys.
There you go.
Well, not my hometown, but my home state. It counts. They don't go to New Jersey often. They do go about once a year, though. And Rockhold and Machida, this fight card delivered, especially for a fight night card. Mm-hmm. Let's start off at the bottom of the card and go over some of the prelims. We had Eddie Gordon versus Chris Dempsey. Chris Dempsey won via split decision. We had Diego Brandao defeating Jimmy Hedis. Brandao via doctor stoppage.
Via ear hanging off.
Oh my God! How gross was that?
Well, no, you couldn't really tell from the playback.
When you looked at it after, though.
When you looked at it after, you thought maybe it was the doctor made a mistake and stopped it too early, but it was
a big nasty gash that
it was pretty bad.
Opened up on Hedis's cauliflower ear from an elbow, I believe,
right,
kind of in the ground and pound position.
Well, and, Dana tweeted that it was a bad stoppage, and then at the post fight press conference said that he actually saw pictures of it after, and it's awful. So.
Do you guys think it was worse or not as bad as the Leslie Smith from earlier this year?
Leslie Smith's
I think it wasn't as bad because Leslie's was flopping around a little bit more, and that's I think an interesting conversation piece to this match was whether it should have been stopped or not. We didn't really get too much of a 3D angle on it.
Here's my thing with the ear. It's a limb almost, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like if that thing gets infected, it's coming off, right? I mean, I'm not a doctor, but
that's what I was wondering.
Whereas like if a cut here gets they're not going to take your face off.
Right.
You know, they
well,
fix it.
An infection to any cut is bad, but
but I feel like
as I was talking about, that is the ear area is sensitive to me, such that I'd be squeamish about it, but not so much so a facial cut over the over the eyebrow or something like that. Even though the latter one could affect a match much more.
Right.
But I would be worried about infection. So I don't know if it was the right call or not.
What do you think, Devon?
I believe it was the right call. I mean, the doctor's not going to just stop it if he doesn't see something that's kind of worrisome. And
you don't mess with that.
I'm sure the fighter is going to be thankful the next day, that he still has an ear.
Yeah, I would think so.
One more shot, and that ear might be coming off, and
when
who knows? Maybe he doesn't mind. Maybe it's a badge of honor. Who knows?
You never know. They think that cauliflower is a badge of honor.
Yeah.
So you never know. Maybe loss of an ear is even more so. But anyway, next we have George the Silencer Sullivan versus Tim the Dirty Bird Means. Tim Means obviously won via arm triangle in round 3. Then we have Takeya Mizugaki versus Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling.
Nailed it. Good work,
Funk,
girl.
Funkmaster. He's 10-0 now, 11-0, I believe. He won via front naked choke, side naked choke, whatever you want to call this one.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone had seen this before in recent history, at least. It was a rear naked choke hold, but
From the side.
from the side. He
Yeah.
had him in half guard.
He was
and
on the ground.
Yanked his head down through the arm across and locked it in.
Yeah, it's funny because I have here head arm choke in my notes, but it was much the actual choke position was more rear naked.
Right, but you're right by saying head and arm because it was the head and the arm. But it just he had a rear naked choke grip, so
Yeah.
I was trying to be
My
funny.
favorite part. Are we talking about that
Naked
fight or
choke.
just going through the card? I don't want to.
We're just going through the card,
Okay,
but
got it.
did you want to?
Oh, do we go back and talk about the fights after?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. We're just running through
Shouldn't
the
have mentioned the ear
results.
stuff. I take it all
No,
back.
No.
I brought it up.
We get
for
off
them.
track all the time.
Sorry about that.
Oh, yes. Okay, so next we have Corey. I'm not even going to say his nickname. Beaston
Oh, it's
25-8.
it's Anderson.
Well, you-
but,
And you did say his nickname.
Yeah, well, because like what? Beaston 25-8? Does anyone know what that means?
because
Yeah.
most people are 24/7 days,
He takes
24
it.
hours, 7 days a week.
He goes to 11.
25 hours.
Oh, that's
25
funny.
hours, 8 days a week.
So yeah.
That's it.
I think
Interesting.
something-
Very clever.
Yeah. And really catchy.
Not.
Corey Anderson versus Glenn Vellante. Glenn Vellante.
Gian.
Sorry, John.
What?
John.
Oh, you say John? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, so does everyone else.
It's spelled.
It is spelled Gian.
You're right.
But,
And I thought it was an
you
L,
know.
so I said Glon.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
I did
Vellante TKO'd Anderson in round 3. Then we have OSP, Ovince St. Preux, defeating Patrick Cummins. OSP knocked out Patrick Cummins in round 1.
Broke my heart.
Did that break your heart? You're a
Broke my
Patrick
heart.
Cummins fan?
I
And your
liked-
wagering table. That's why.
and that too.
In his
but-
bets, yeah.
But I wanted Patrick Cummins to make that comeback after the DC fight.
Yeah,
And
me
he-
too.
and every
I was
win he
really
had, it was kind of like cheering him to
To prove himself.
yeah,
Because
Yeah.
he's been looking
to
good.
get back.
He's been looking
He
good.
has been
since-
looking great,
Yeah.
and he's been making DC look amazing. But yeah, it broke my heart. I wanted Cummins to go to that next level.
Yeah, me too.
He was on a 3-fight win streak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was his first loss in quite a while.
It's a punch that came out of nowhere, at least from the camera angles.
Yeah.
I mean, from prior to that, though, I think Cummins was holding his own against OSP. I certainly wouldn't call this the beginning of the end.
It
for
looked like he
Cummins.
took a dive. like from the first time he saw it, I was like, "What? He just hit the ground."
Yeah.
It looked like he took
He
a dive.
face planted,
And
yeah,
then they
yeah.
had to show a different angle for that uppercut.
The short
It's
left
always the uppercut that does that dive factor because the uppercut sometimes is thrown going backward a lot of the time.
In this
You're
case,
going,
too.
In this case as well. So when you're going backward and then he just falls, you're like, what hit him?
Yeah.
And then they show the replay of the uppercut, of course. Okay, next we have the local favorite that unfortunately did not prevail, Jim Miller versus Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush won via unanimous decision. Next, we have a strawweight battle for the females. Felice Little Bulldog Herrig versus Paige 12 gauge Vanzant. Vanzant wins by a pretty ridiculous unanimous decision. It was definitely a decisive one. Then you had Cub Swanson versus Max Holloway. Max Holloway won via guillotine. You had Jacar Sosa versus Chris Camozzi. Camozzi obviously taking this fight on very short notice, but Jacar won via armbar in round 1. And of course, Lyoto the Dragon Machida versus Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold upsetting the veteran via rear naked choke.
To show that delivered, like you said.
Yeah.
This one, there was great action across the board.
Not that you didn't think it would, because it had some good names on it, but you thought, okay, but it really delivered. There was a lot of finishes. It was like a 2-hour show, I think you said, right? You could probably watch the whole thing in 2 hours, especially with DVR. Yeah, a lot of delivering fights for sure.
But a lot of them too going into the finishes in the third round.
Right.
You got practically a full match.
You definitely got bang for your buck.
It really surprised me how much, though, we saw the popularity of head and arm chokes or side chokes, triangle chokes, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
A lot of guys were going for that. Not only the two finishes that you mentioned, but also Beneil Dariush was working that on Jim Miller, I think early in the second round. But that was the thing. I love that submission. I love seeing
Do you?
that. Yeah, it's one of my favorites to watch. I can't say it's one of my favorites to apply because I couldn't, and it certainly wouldn't be one of my favorites to have to fight out of, I'm sure.
It's definitely a great choke, and it's one of those chokes where it's slow and steady pressure that really does it.
Yeah.
So it's patience with that kind of choke. It
slowly
cuts off that circulation.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on that one with Sterling over Mizugaki. He kind of he had his back, I believe, and then kind of fell backwards or was working kind of swiftly got into this position,
right?
And just and applied that choke, which really unorthodox angle,
right?
Where did the torque come in, or
okay,
where did you see it being
ironically,
effective?
I just told you the story before we came on the show. Is that my coach taught me this move this week?
Yeah,
swear to God. My coach James Teal, he showed me this move. He's like, if you're ever on the bottom and the guy's in your half guard or even in your full guard, you can actually swing his arm across his face just like you would do a triangle, just like you would lock up a triangle with your legs, but lock it up with your arm the exact same way. And I was like, will that really work? And he's like, do it to me. So I did it to him like 10 times, and I was like, what? Why have I never known about this? And ironically, it happens in UFC Fight Night, Machida versus Rockhold. So it's definitely an effective choke. It cuts off the circulation the exact same way that a triangle choke would. That's exactly what it is. It's a triangle, but up 10 inches further. Right. And you do it with your arms.
Okay.
So it's just as effective. It has the same choke cut off on the artery right there.
Artery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same effect.
I love that one, especially this match, just kind of coming out of nowhere.
Right. And that's a choke, like I said, with patience, though. It's not one of those chokes like a guillotine where it gets on the throat and you're automatically tapping. It's one of those chokes you got to hold for a little while and kind of wait for the carotid artery to get cut off. And also, you have to have your shoulder underneath their chin, because it's not going to work otherwise. Kind of like a Von Flue choke. Right. Reversing the guillotine.
Very specific placement.
Positioning. Exactly, or it's not going to work. It's just it's still uncomfortable, and it's still a dominant position, but it won't choke them out if you don't
Would you be able to do it to George?
Yeah,
no?
So if you were facing me.
Poor George.
So you're in my guard.
Oh, he's loving this.
I would put
Believe
his
me.
Hold on.
arm across, just like I would for a triangle.
Right.
But instead of wrapping my arms around him.
Instead of wrapping the legs around him.
Wrapping my legs around him. It's that.
Right.
And but the important part
how
is
is
to
it?
push.
So, are you swinging that arm across?
You're not asleep
or
yet.
are you waiting for him to make a mistake and
either or? If he makes that mistake and goes to reach across or to base on that opposite side, which would be stupid,
right?
Because I could get a triangle anyway.
Sounds like something he would do then.
Keep it over there and lock the arms, because they're expecting your legs to come up around their head,
right?
Like a triangle. But instead of your legs coming up, you just sneak the arm in. Like I said, it's hard to do on someone bigger than you because you have to get your arms around their entire base, their torso, pretty much. But it's super simple.
Why do you think that move isn't utilized more?
I don't know. I was thinking the exact same thing when my coach showed it to me. I was
Watch
like,
it
this
becoming
is easy.
utilized now.
But I guess, oh my God, look at that. We're watching us live. We're watching. I just choked you out. But no, I guess because your legs are stronger than your arms. So it would be easier to put someone in a triangle. And
also to control everything with your arms as you're...
Yeah, because once you wrap them up, they're on top of you. And you have both your arms taken away. It's not like you can hit him.
Sure.
Whereas in the triangle, you can control and you can do serious damage.
So with that said, let's talk about technique in the OSP Patrick Cummins match.
Yes.
Can you do that to George as well?
Oh, knock him out.
Now go towards her.
Show us that short little uppercut.
Throw the uppercut. Well, throw it. No,
first off, she did it with the left.
I'm not going to hit him.
Why not?
I can't hit him.
He doesn't mind. Oh, he just...
Okay, now I can hit him.
There you go. Go towards.
If you guys want to see our after show, which will involve much more violence, with our stunt actor here, Devon Sawa, tune in.
Or come to the University of MMA May 31st. Our girl will be on the show, maybe even fighting George as well, if I can make it happen.
Hey, that would be a really
Tickets
cool.
on sale now.
And I promise it won't be my final destination.
Oh, we're tying it all in here.
Bing. That's one.
Do you guys remember that guy? That's what he was on. He was the star of Final Destination 2.
One.
God.
I died.
I thought you said...
I'm in 1, died in 2. Not really.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So old. I mean, there's been other stuff since.
When you act in it, you're allowed to spoiler your own films.
No, I told him when he got here, literally he was in my favorite television series ever, and that's Nikita. It was on the CW, and it was an amazing action series. Oh my God, I loved it. It had to do with secret government hired agencies and stuff like that, and you guys would travel all over the world and kill
blowing
people.
stuff up. Yeah,
I loved it.
It's a lot of fun.
Loved it.
Also indicates that Daria hasn't watched some of the classics, MASH, Cheers. Granted, those are sitcoms. Cosby Show.
What?
Favorite TV show? At any rate,
It's-
okay.
Seriously, one of my favorites.
There you go.
Next to Friends.
There you go.
I
Thank
love
you.
Friends.
Friends.
Thank you. Take a walk, Jay.
I love
Yeah,
Friends.
take a hike. Who invited you on this show?
I think
a very good
speaking of-
question,
I
too.
think Jim Miller shouldn't fight in his home state anymore.
I think so too. His last 2 losses, one was in Atlantic City, New Jersey,
On
one
July
was in Newark,
16th.
New Jersey. Thank you for that.
I was on a Wednesday.
But, you know, his first loss in New Jersey was to Donald Cerrone. Definitely not.
Looking
an
back,
easy
it looks
fight.
like he
We were
lost.
talking about that, the home court advantage, whether it was
Yeah.
You're
a big fan of that. You
What do you
believe-
think,
Well,
Devin?
I always thought, like, you know, if Jay made a good point yesterday. I thought if you're fighting at home, you got the crowds behind you, you get your family there.
But the pressure.
That's what I'm saying. That's what Jay brought up, and it's kind of like, I guess it's.
It depends what kind of fighter you
I guess
are.
yeah, what kind of person you are.
There's the kind of people like I train with a bunch of guys, and we're all different. Like some of us love the crowd, and it gets us amped up.
It's like
and
McGregor. McGregor looks like the type of guy that uses that kind
Yes.
of that energy
Yes.
and goes with it. But
Yes.
but I bet you there's a lot of people that get you
There's
walk out,
jitters.
adrenaline dump because
For sure.
your parents are there and you're.
GSP
It's like
is
when-
one. He talked about getting,
it's like acting,
sick
really.
before.
I mean, you know what I mean? Do you like when your family comes to the set
They
and watches
don't.
you?
They couldn't. I wouldn't let them.
There
So
you go.
there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
It's the same concept. It's
Because
just
even looking back, 2002, he lost to Nate Diaz in New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
The next fight.
So he doesn't need to fight in New Jersey
Yeah,
anymore.
next fight. I think he lost to.
But when you say 2002, maybe he just doesn't need.
I'm sorry, 2012.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe he just doesn't need to fight anymore.
The next time in Jersey, he lost to Pat Healy, but it was overturned because of a.
Because of the dope.
The
Because
dope.
Pat Haley smoked weed.
wow.
Yeah, and
but
then
is Miller
his last
getting
time.
up there in fight years?
He's only
He-
31.
But he's
had-
been
yeah,
fighting
right,
for
right,
a
yeah.
long
Of
time.
course.
You know, what impressed me about this match specifically was I felt Beneil Dariush kind of out Jim Millered Jim Miller, if you will. Jim came out. He's a guy that's known for being aggressive, pushing the action, and grinding a guy down.
Right.
Especially just as much, maybe even more so, on the floor as much as on the feet with striking. And he looked good in the first round. I think he got Dariush on the ground. Takedown. He was challenging with Kimura, an armbar. He was going for it. But then Dariush turned it around in the second and third rounds, and he was the one on top or threatening with choke submissions and stuff like that. It struck me that, this is definitely not Jim's best night. But at the same time, Dariush... He's on I think he's got a pretty good, I want to say 4-fight win streak here. Could be wrong about
he's
that.
looking
but
good.
Yeah, he's, it was a great performance.
I don't think by any means Jim Miller is on his way out. I think he's going to be one of those guys like a Clay Guida or like a, what's his name?
Diego Sanchez.
Gleason Tebow. Like the guys that will fight whenever you ask them to, will fight often, and they'll fight for a long time. And you know what? Good record, bad record, they'll always put on a show. I don't necessarily think he's going for a title run anytime soon, but
Right.
I think he's a guy that the UFC will rightfully so keep around for a long time.
Yeah, he's always game to go. He's a scrapper.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we got the main card
The main,
on Fox. Well, the prelims were on Fox.
they were all
Prelims
was all
were on
one-
Fox. It was one big old MMA hoedown. On
I enjoyed
Big
it.
Fox. Yeah,
I had my cable and sitting there at home watching it. Enjoyed it.
it's so cute.
Last
Did
night,
it involve like soda pop and potato chips and cookies? I just have this vision.
It involved an entire pizza. I ate
That's
an
good.
entire.
You don't say.
I didn't eat an entire pizza, but I ate 6 slices last night, and I woke up a pound lighter. What does this mean?
You took a huge dump.
You found the right pizza place?
Or yes, that's for sure. Or pizza with
I
Dexter trim
swear
on
it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I was like, wow, I'm not going to complain.
What were you trying to sell us on yesterday? Frozen ice or ice
Oh,
water or some
Rita's
weird-
water ice. I was
Oh,
with
water
you.
ice. Yeah.
And we've
Do you
got
not know what
Alexis
it is?
covering
No, it just sounds
covering
like
the boards here. She's all about it.
It sounds like a ripoff.
Is that not a West
Water
Coast
ice?
thing? Is that an East Coast
No,
thing?
it's totally an East Coast thing.
Oh,
It's
I
a
didn't
Jersey
even know.
thing.
Yeah,
Italian water ice?
I have it, I know. But
Break it down. Because
Okay.
a lot of these our fans
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
know.
it's just
Like me.
It's going to sound really gross explaining it because it doesn't sound good when I explain it. It's iced
Water.
flavored water. I mean, it's kind of like
Which is
Like
ice water.
snow
It's like
cones.
shaving.
It
Puppy
pretty much
kinda
just tastes like
thing.
snow cones, but
Yes,
it's
like
better.
snow cones,
Snow
exactly.
cones.
So it's
Oh,
better.
yeah.
It's like snow cones, but much better.
but a million times more flavor.
Yeah.
It's not watered down like a snow cone. It's all
But it's water ice.
one
That's what they
smooth
call it,
texture.
apparently.
That's what they call it, though. But it's a snow cone. That's what it is.
But snow cone
That's what I should have called
snow
it.
cone
last
is like
night.
crushed ice, whereas water ice is like smooth.
What kind of ice?
Oh, really?
like
crushed.
a Slurpee, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like a Slurpee.
Yeah, it's smoother.
It's smoother.
Than chunky.
Water ice is like a Slurpee, but better, so much better, thicker, denser.
Gotcha.
You eat it with a spoon, not a straw. It's amazing.
So I discovered that there was, I don't know where water ice came up last night in conversation, but I just happened to look up Rita's because I think I was telling your wife Donnie about about Rita's in North Hollywood.
Okay, yeah.
Because you were talking about dessert. Boom, bring it back to bacon, Jake. Yeah. So Rita's Italian Ice came up in conversation.
Did you say bring it back to bacon?
Bring it back to bacon.
He says that twice an episode.
That's my thing.
That's your Easter egg?
Yeah, so, or in this case, bring it back to Devon. But Rita's Italian Ice. There's one much closer to the studio here, guys, out there in internet land, than the one in North Hollywood. So if you guys ever want to come down here and visit the AfterBuzz studios, admission is Rita's Italian water ice and frozen custard.
You bring me a gelato, and I'll let you in. There it is.
Boom, look at that.
Can the people see it, though? No. Okay.
No.
But they're on a computer, so they can look it up.
They can Google Rita's. Guys, it's amazing. You can get a Blendini, you can get a gelato, you can get a soft serve ice cream.
Apparently they're opening up a Dunkin' Donuts.
And we are sponsored by Rita's Water Ice.
We should be. Yes, we should be.
Okay.
And all this happened before the Paige Vanzant fight.
Yes. And Felice Herrig, which I think they both probably like ice cream. Felice got a visit from the Cookie Monster, Carlos Barza, before her fight. Anyway, Felice Herrig takes on Paige Vanzant. Felice Herrig, obviously a veteran in the sport. She's been around a while. I think her record's like 10-5, something like that. She's a seasoned fighter, and she's always had a very good Muay Thai base, good clinch work, good stand-up. But she's definitely not known for finishing fights. All her fights have gone to decision in her professional career. Whereas Paige Vanzant is this young, brand new on the scene, 21 years old, coming out of Team Alpha Male. And
she's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
Don't you feel like she's kind of being rammed down our throat?
She is.
They were very nervous in the back rooms yesterday. Whether because they got a lot right. She got the Reebok deal. She's got the
being one of the only UFC fighters with a Reebok deal and being only one fight in the UFC. Definitely the youngest one.
21.
Is she the only woman with a?
I believe No,
maybe Ronda has one.
Ronda and Paige are the only females with the Reebok contract. But what's interesting is that the UFC isn't shy about saying that they're promoting her.
Yeah,
they're
totally.
very honest about it.
She's got the it factor.
Yeah, and Dana says that. And you know what she does? She posts videos of her dancing, doing little hip hop routines, and people love it. And the internet loves it. But when you come in the cage,
drinking the Kool-Aid.
but when you come in the cage and perform the way she did last night, how can you knock her?
Yeah, it's not unjustified by any means. There is that, and that's I think kind of the catch-22 or the inherent thing that happens with anybody that the UFC gets excited about and decides to promote. We saw this with Conor. There's always a backlash.
CM Punk. That's where I am. I am right now with her as I was with Conor when he first popped on the scene. I was like, dude, stop ramming him down my throat.
But what do you feel about Conor now?
Prove yourself. I'm a fan, but now it's starting to turn the other way again, where I'm getting kind of sick of his whole gimmick. It's getting a little bit too much for me. Although I can't deny how amazing he is to watch inside the octagon.
Right.
He floats around in there, and
I am in complete agreement with you when it comes to them ramming fighters down our throats, and it's like, dude, just let us have our favorites,
Yeah.
But when they prove themselves, and like last night, if Felice Herrig was this 21-year-old underdog from Team Alpha Male and got beat the way she did, I would have been like, oh god, this girl has nothing to back her up. But considering she won so dominantly against such a veteran, you got to give her what's hers.
Yep.
I don't argue that she's.
Well, I mean,
she's got her place there, and I get getting behind her. She looked fantastic in her previous match as well. Really strong performance
against Kaylin Curran. A high girl.
I feel though that she did walk away with the win, especially in the second and third. But for as much as Felice was, what do I want to say? For as much as Paige had her way with her on the ground, Felice, I thought, stayed in the game. The first, and especially the first, but the second as well, was continuing to scramble. She was continuing to work for position. Paige was just having a better time with her, but I think that I felt like I saw a lot of hate online towards Felice.
I'm a big Felice fan. I love her. I think she's great, but she
there's no question that she lost the match. Yeah,
right.
I'm not against that at all.
She had a bad night.
Yeah.
had a bad night, and especially started showing much less in the second and third. But you know, I was impressed with her scrambling for a girl that's known primarily as a Thai boxer. She was working really hard to scramble out and get out of position, and going for stuff that she could on bottom, even if it wasn't great. It wasn't close to being secure or anything. She was going
I think
for
she
it.
was giving it her best shot, but I think Paige was one step ahead the entire time.
Yeah,
Felice would go to toss Paige, and Paige would already be reversing it in the air, and stuff like that. And she definitely was the scrappier fighter, Paige Vanzant. And she would win every scramble there was. And, you know, to be fair, Felice Herrig said she had an adrenaline dump in the second round, which I could see. You know, looking at her through the second and the third, you're like, you're looking at her on bottom, and she's just huffing and puffing, breathing really heavily.
Even
her
when
mouth's
she was
open.
on top, like you'd be like, "Oh, well, now Felice got her." Then 2 seconds later,
Well, she had her in a rear naked choke. She had the rear naked choke locked up in the second again, and you're like, "Oh my god! All you have to do is secure this choke," and she couldn't
even
do
a couple
that.
arm bars looked like she was very,
Couple
very
arm
close
bars
to
she had?
getting that arm bar. But
What,
Yeah.
Felice?
Yeah. Felice.
None of her arm bars were even
Oh, no.
close to being in or locked or anything.
No,
They were
yeah.
all real low and
Paige,
But she was going
immediately
for it.
putting that shoulder
but Paige
pressure.
knowing what to do in that situation, kind of.
Yeah. No,
Paige was one step ahead.
She was definitely on
For
her
sure.
game.
Definitely that alpha male.
I want to see Paige Vanzant versus Rose Namajunas, because they are both very similar in stature. I mean, Rose is taller, but they're both kind of like the taller, lankier fighters, and they have those crazy wild kicks, crazy stances. I think that'd be a really fun matchup.
It's a good match. Yeah. I'm thinking, so
She's
Was
number
it
12.
Felice was, I believe, 8 or so. I was looking at, who was it? Let's go to the rankings there.
When's Paige getting a title shot? She got one more fight before a
Oh,
title
God.
shot?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
No.
UFC, and they're in. I mean, it's
Good
all about
point.
the money.
Good
So, I
point.
mean, that's a great
But
pay-per-view right there.
Dana was very honest at the post-fight press conference when he said Paige looked great, but she's got a lot of work to do. He
Okay.
didn't
I
sell
missed that.
her.
Especially-
He didn't sell her 100%. You know
Because
what I'm saying?
Connor's, this is what, fight 4?
Yeah.
Fight 5?
Yeah. 4 or
It's
5.
Aldo fight. No, he
Yeah, it
kind
was-
of.
They'll give her a couple
There's
more.
Marcus
But
Brimage, Holloway,
She just,
to be fair,
Brandao, Poirier.
yeah, go ahead.
to be
Side
fair,
Seaver.
everyone in this 115 weight class gets a title shot right away because
It's so
it's
new.
brand new.
Yeah.
You know, all the girls that have fought for the title, Joanna only had one UFC fight. You know, same with Paige. So
Well,
But I mean, with how good Joanna looked against Carla Esparza, I would not put Paige
hell
up against
no,
her.
she's not ready yet. She's not. I don't think she's matured as a fighter yet. Obviously, it's so young in her career.
You're looking. Felice is number 8 in the top 10 here, and this is very unscientific math. But you know, above her is JoJo Calderwood, Randa Marcos, Tisha Torres. These names are haunting back to earlier last year, right?
Yeah.
I
The
think
obvious there is none of those sell fights. None of those names you just said sell.
I mean,
Right.
if they were to do a title match, it'd have to be like the co-main event for like another bigger title fight.
we're two
Just
matches.
like last time.
Yeah.
I think we're at least 2 matches away, if not 3, from her getting the title fight.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think
for
they're
sure.
going to protect her, quite frankly,
I
because
think,
of
I think
this.
she's one fight away.
Oh, I would.
she's one
I would
fight. I
hope
think
not,
she's
because
one-
that's
I think
killing your
she's
golden
one
goose
re-
there.
Well,
I
'cause
wouldn't do that if I
one
was
fight
Camaro.
could be a lot of time though, because you do have a lot of strawweight fights coming up, and then you don't have Joanna scheduled yet, but you do schedule Joanna against, say,
Against
rematch between Claudia Gadia, or maybe you do Jessica Penne, or whoever wins between JoJo and her fight.
JoJo just lost.
Oh, she just lost. That's
Yeah.
right.
That's what I was. I mean, yeah, JoJo and Paige. JoJo and Paige. You know what? I could see that happening. Why?
No, they're
because
both too pretty.
because you want to protect Paige. You want to give her enough time to.
You don't want to give her someone that's going to murder her, but at the
Right.
same time, you want to keep her warm. So yeah. I don't know. I could.
just UFC.
Yeah.
If he wants another, pretty girl versus pretty girl, or another like name seller, I give her Rose Namajunas.
Yeah.
Rose is ranked number 4, so it's not completely out of the question. We've seen worse.
I think she's fighting sometime soon, though.
She is.
I'm sure most of these girls
It would
in the
have to
top
be
10 are ranked or
following that fight.
booked already.
Oh.
Yeah, they're all pretty much booked.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to the next fight. We have Cub Swanson versus Max Blessed Holloway. Max Holloway with a defiant win against Cub Swanson via guillotine.
He looked good. Max Holloway. He's one of those guys where his last loss was against Conor McGregor, I think like 2 years ago, and that was one of those things where it's probably the best thing that happened to him, because now it's like now he can work on whatever he did before.
Right.
Because ever since then, he's been looking
unstoppable.
amazing.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to dominate Cub Swanson the way he did.
You know what? It was orthodox versus southpaw, and he really did a good job of keeping that front foot on the outside, which people say is important when you're fighting a southpaw. He actually switched his stance, though, and was fighting southpaw for part of the fight.
Yeah.
What do you think, Devon?
Do we know when Cub Swanson got injured? I know he broke his jaw and his wrist. Is that early?
It was last night.
Yeah, thanks. Thank God you're here, man.
You know.
Was it early in the fight? Was he fighting injured?
I don't know.
That's
a good question.
That's news to me, but I'll see if I can look it up in a timely manner.
Yeah, that's another thing. There was quite a lot of injuries that came out of this show. I think 9 people are on indefinite suspension.
Did you see that? 9
yeah, it was something
indefinite
like
suspension.
15 or so that were, maybe not that many, but quite more than 10 were do have medical suspensions. You know, some of them are just 60 or 30 or 45 days for TKOs.
I hate to say it, but that's when you know you have a good night of fights.
Yep.
When you have 9 people going to the hospital.
When we play off of the misery and injury of others, you know, it was good entertainment. Holloway, this was a night for Holloway, Vanzant, and I'm going to go back and say Beneil Dariush as well. Both of them, I feel like it was a little bit the coming out party for Paige and Max. His striking really was on point, and he's somebody that, me personally, I think he's a guy that I also like. The company gets behind Paige. Right. Max is a guy that has a lot of marketing potential too. I'd be all over pushing that guy
in a more unusual way, not your obvious Conor McGregor shit talk.
Correct. Yes, I'm probably a sucker for the Hawaiian accent and charm, but he made a very good point about having a UFC out in Hawaii.
Yeah, that really caught my attention when he mentioned that. I'd love to see a McGregor
that would be so cool.
in Hawaii over there. It's.
Can you imagine how much? I mean, the way Max brings it, he was constantly scrapping and throwing with Cub, and imagine a card full of that, like Hawaiian fighters on a UFC show.
They get down.
They're going to show and prove it.
They get down. I have 2 Hawaiians at my gym, and they're scrappy, and they brawl.
They got that island warrior in their blood.
They do.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Why? I wonder why we haven't touched down in Hawaii yet. I'm sure there's a legible reason.
It's legal. Everything's legit.
There's a
very do Rumble the Rock there.
Very hardy.
Yeah.
Like they've done New
Rumble
Zealand,
the Rock
Australia. They're doing
yeah.
Philippines. I don't see why they're. It's got to be just maybe expensive.
I think they're worried about selling out that arena. I mean, it's
the Blaisdell. They could sell out the place. Oh yeah.
Really? Do you think that enough people will go? Do you think there's enough fans in Hawaii that would
fight fans? Hawaii.
Yeah,
Hawaii.
You got
Hawaii
PJ Penn over there.
Yeah.
I think you probably could. Maybe it's in the coming years. Maybe it's coming soon, and
I wouldn't be surprised.
In the works.
I'm sure it's something they've looked into.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, there's got to be a legitimate reason. Are people not going to pay for the tickets? I mean, is it
right?
Could be the economy.
What's the reason for?
I don't know.
But that's a weird thing too.
They've gone to Sweden, Ireland.
Yeah,
all these new territories. Why not Hawaii?
I don't know. Very good question.
Let me call.
If anybody knows, comment or tweet us live, and we'll talk about
it. #ABTV UFC.
UFC. Yep.
I always get that last
ABTV UFC. All right. Next on the card, we had Ronaldo Jacar Sosa versus Chris Camozzi,
which was sponsored by Paul Blart 2.
Oh, because
technically it wasn't
both sequels we never wanted to see.
Oh, that was
hey,
really
it worked
good.
because I ended up watching Paul Blart last night.
Oh my God, so
Credit
clever,
joke,
Devon
though.
Sawa.
No, that I read that somewhere. I didn't make that one up.
You made it up.
No, I didn't make it.
No?
I'll take credit for that.
Was that a retweet from Adam Hunter there?
Was it? It might have been. It might have been.
I believe it was.
That
it
is
was
too
either
funny.
Adams or he retweeted
Well,
it. It was a very good
as
one.
Devon Sawa.
I thought that's where you were going with it. Is it really sponsored by?
No, because right before
I didn't know that. I read
they
that
mixed
together.
in a lot of their clips with the movie.
Oh, that's too funny.
I don't know. I mean, maybe coincidentally, no one wanted to see
that
both
probably
sequels.
would trigger him to say the joke.
Yeah.
That is too funny.
There we go.
Okay. Well,
so there's the tweet from Cub Swanson. Well,
you found it?
A broken jaw and a broken right hand. Just another day at the office.
Yep.
Wow.
So there you go.
That sucks.
You have to, a lot of people overlook that. They're like, oh, injuries, well, they happen in every fight. But a broken jaw and a broken hand, I mean, that's a lot to fight through.
Yeah, especially the broken hand.
It depends on when he hurt it, too.
Right, that's true. But that adrenaline goes away real quick once you get something like that.
Bad injury like that, yeah.
I always thought my first 2 fights were kind of seamless with injuries, so I was like, oh, adrenaline trumps everything. And then my last fight, I kicked the girl in the head, and my foot was killing me, and I was like,
during the rest of the match.
During the rest of the match, I was like, I thought I wasn't supposed to feel pain during my fight. Like, I was so convinced that my adrenaline would like trump anything, and like I would have a broken nose, and I'd still keep going. And like I was like, oh my god, I kind of felt that, and then I got rocked in the face, and I was like, ow, I felt that too. What's going on? My theory wasn't proven correctly.
That's what happens in combat sports. Yeah,
I know. You feel a little bit of pain.
Heard you get hurt. Yeah, pain.
So
is
yeah,
involved.
a broken jaw, you're gonna feel that. So.
Yeah.
Was anybody surprised at the outcome of this, Jacare versus
Camozzi?
No. Especially how it got finished.
Look,
no,
to be
exactly
fair,
how I thought it would go.
We should say that Camozzi took it on 8 or 6 day notice.
He took it on very short notice, and
Chris, not ranked.
Chris Camozzi is one of those guys that Dana White knows he can call. He's a very good fighter. He's durable. That's the word that I think of when I think of Chris Camozzi.
He's been fighting out of like he was in the UFC, took two fights out of the UFC late last year, early this year, and Camozzi's going to answer the call to come back and potentially avenge a loss
against the #1 ranked competitor in the middleweight division.
Nothing to lose,
nothing
everything
to lose.
to gain. So that made sense for a lot of people involved
for sure
to be able to keep Jacare on the card because that Yoel Romero situation. I've heard this. That's the second time that the Yoel Romero match versus Jacare has been booked and canceled. So they're 1-1. Jacare got pneumonia, I think, or a stomach bug.
Something happened with Jacare.
Yoel Romero was injured as well. So the third time that they book it, I hear that the first guy to bow out of Yoel Romero versus Jacare is going to get the next title shot against Chris Weidman.
Well, it should be interesting because the next
that was
fight
completely a joke.
I didn't get that.
It's the rubber match of booking. Twice, they book it twice, third time. Right.
That's why we are not matchmakers, guys, and J-Tan is.
Perfect.
But
that's exactly why I shouldn't be.
Speaking of the #1 contendership, that kind of segues it into the next fight, which kind of
absolutely
changes everything.
Real quick though, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
No, please.
Well, Jacare, I've been thinking he's should get the title fight for quite some time now.
Agree.
Here's a debate.
Doesn't matter what he did last night. It's not worthy enough of getting him that title shot. I feel like he got boned again, really.
But he was scheduled to go up against a very tough challenge that could have viably, had that happened, could have justified a title shot for him. I don't think it's fair to hold it against him that he didn't get to face Romero.
Yeah, I think.
But it certainly wasn't.
I think it's one of those situations where you go, okay, it was bad luck that Yoel Romero backed out or that couldn't fight. But you gave him someone that was still a tough guy, and he blew through him. He was he's been so consistent for so long. Speaking Jacare, he's been so consistent for so long and so defiant over all his victories. And I just think that he's continuing to prove himself. And a lot of people complain when they get a last minute replacement. They're like, oh, really gonna give me this guy, and he didn't. Says Dana White. He shut up and he took the fight and he won it amazingly. So
well, with all due respect to Camozzi, I think everybody was expecting him to lose. The Vegas odds were so wide,
ridiculous.
I mean, Jacare kind of probably giggled at okay, I'll take it. Why not?
That's true.
I mean, the main thing is, I don't think he has to beat anyone else to warrant that title shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he's done everything he needs to do.
I agree.
And then once he gets the title, he's got no one left to fight because he's beat everybody already.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
So do you think he waits to see? I mean,
have him and
the next one we're talking about.
Rockhold.
The title match was the end of May, so that's about a month from now.
When?
Okay.
Strikeforce. Rockhold won, right?
Back in Strikeforce.
Rockhold won, yeah.
He blew through.
That was for the Strikeforce Middleweight Championship.
Oh wow. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next one so we can talk about who we want to see fight Weidman versus Bellator. So we have Lyoto the Dragon Machida versus Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold won via rear naked choke. This was another amazing dominant performance by Luke Rockhold against a guy that, was the best in the world.
Machida's tough to finish.
Lyoto Machida.
He's been finished, but he's still tough to finish.
He's only been finished twice before, and it was by Shogun and John Jones. So come on, that speaks.
Yeah. That's the conversation that comes out of this match. Well, I guess there's two of them really, is to kind of marvel at Luke Rockhold and what he did to a guy like Machida.
He's strong.
Yeah.
He's a strong guy and a hard guy to beat.
And then
I was saying that thing. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the other conversation is what do you do between Rockhold and Sousa?
See, I think you could do, rematch Rockhold versus Sousa. The winner fights the champ. that's the obvious choice. But I don't think Dana White's going to do that. I think he's going to give one of them
because I think
the shot.
Rockhold looked a lot better against Machida than John Jones did. Like I think Rockhold wiped the floor.
But then you look at stylist matchup too when you talk about that.
I think also anything can happen in the next month or so. You want to have a plan B as well as the plan A, and I think that maybe plan A would be Weidman and Rockhold, Madison Square Garden, as Luke mentioned in his post-fight. But you have Jacar in the wings as well.
I'm actually surprised that Belfort and Weidman hasn't got postponed again. That's another one that keeps getting postponed.
That's next month, right?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't Sosa and Rockhold both ready to go? I mean, couldn't they go in a month and a half, 2 months? Couldn't they put them on another card?
I suppose.
And have it ready again
they won't do it. They won't do it. I don't see them doing it.
It depends on if they were injured or not. I don't know if they were guys on the injury list. See what we came up with.
I mean, they both look pretty flawless coming out.
Right. I just don't see the UFC doing that. I see them giving either Jacar or Luke Rockhold the title shot.
Do you pray for a Weidman injury and an interim belt?
No.
I'm just saying. A Weidman injury?
I think, speaking of which, I think that if that were to happen again, because that was going to happen, but Vitor turned it down.
Right.
Yeah, they should. Absolutely. I think Weidman, I love Weidman, but he needs to fight more.
Oh, I agree. He needs to fight more. He needs to defend his title.
Like Anderson Silva's fought, more times than him in like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He fought. What was his last match? Was the
Nick Diaz or Weidman? He fought in July against
July.
Machida.
Yeah. So we're coming up on close to a year there.
Right.
That's when you start getting in that conversation.
And
Same
Vitor
thing
hasn't fought
we were having about
Yeah.
Cain Velasquez.
Yeah. Well, let's just pray that this one goes through because I really want to see Vitor Belfort versus Chris Weidman.
I want to get past that. Yeah.
And that would be cool. Like Rockhold mentioned, In-N-Out Burger versus what is it? Shake Shack.
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack. Which I'm from the East Coast. I've never heard of Shake Shack, but
and I've never heard of In-N-Out. Oh wait, no, I never heard of
Shake Shack.
What's
Steak and Shake, isn't it?
Steak and Shake.
I think
that's
Shake
what
Shack.
Maybe that's what he meant.
Steak and Shake.
That's
right?
what I said. But they have it
I
in
swear
Texas.
he said Shake Shack.
He might have, but it's Steak and
he
Shake.
did say
That's
Shake
the-
Shack.
That's
They
the
have East Coast.
They have a Steak and Shake out here in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And one in Vegas.
But no one. It's
There is no Steak and Shake in Jersey. Not that I've ever seen.
There's one. I've seen it a lot in Texas.
Okay.
Well, anyway, he was making the reference to say East Coast versus West Coast. Let's do it at MSG,
Right.
Madison Square Garden, once the state approves MMA being legalized. That would be epic.
Maybe we should do East Coast Rita's Water Ice versus West Coast Rita's Water Ice.
Oh, or
the match sponsored by
East
Rita's
Coast Dunkin' Donuts versus West Coast Dunkin' Donuts because you guys just got us.
Oy vey.
Yeah.
What a bunch of slackers.
Oh, that's only 2.
I'd have a lot more, but
So-
we're running it right now.
We got to ask you, Devon Sawa. We only have like 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Who's your favorite fighter in the UFC? We're gonna do a little rapid fire.
Oh man, that's two.
The lightning round.
Favorite fighter to watch? I love watching the Diaz brothers. I love watching Nick Diaz. I think they're so entertaining. They're entertaining to watch, entertaining to see if they're going to show up.
Hell yeah.
To see, I love them. They're
Have
great.
you ever been live to a UFC fight?
I've been many times.
When was the last one?
The last one. What was the last one? I can't remember. But
Rousey? Were you at Rousey in
No,
LA?
it might have been Montreal.
Okay.
I think.
Canada, you're
When
from
we
Canada.
went to, was it Machida and Bader? That was a long while ago, though.
No, it was after that. I went to GSP in Montreal, and I don't know if I've been since then.
Do you have any like secret fighter friends? Are you friends with any of the fighters?
I'm cordial with a few of them on Twitter. That's it. Though.
That's it.
I don't
What's your
really-
favorite? What's your favorite fight have you ever seen?
My favorite fight was Gustafsson and Jones.
John Jones
in Toronto.
That fight was awesome. You were there?
I was there.
Oh, nice.
So you're a Canadian, obviously. Are you a big GSP fan? Do you want to see him come
I
back?
am. Rory McDonald, GSP.
Rory McDonald, of course.
Yeah, love him.
Who are the top 3 pound-for-pound fighters?
I don't want to see GSP come back. He's done.
No, he's done.
I mean, if he comes back, great, whatever. But I think he's did what he's had.
Who's
to
the
do.
best pound for pound fighter?
No, top 3.
Oh, top 3? I don't think Ronda Rousey's in the pound for pound. It was a big argument yesterday, just because I don't think her division is stacked
Qualified
as some
enough.
of the other divisions.
You have an Olympic wrestler against Ronda. Who else do you want to give her?
I mean,
And now we're about to go into UFC AfterBuzz
Look at
overtime,
John Jones'
guys.
division. Look at what GSP's. Look at the people they had to go through. Look at. I mean, it's worlds different than what Ronda Rousey. I'm not saying Ronda Rousey isn't amazing. She's an amazing athlete, but pound for pound, I don't know if we can. I mean,
All right, so who's your best
I
pound
may
for
change
pound?
my opinion if we see Cyborg Ronda Rousey. I may change my opinion because
Okay.
Cyborg's more of a well-rounded competitor. But yeah,
John Jones.
what's that?
John Jones number 1.
For me
Pound
right
for
now,
pound.
for pound.
I would have to give either him or Mighty Mouse or Aldo. I would have to give it to.
Mighty Mouse is a good one. I think very overlooked sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think we have to wrap.
I think we have to go. But
One,
Devin,
two,
what
one,
do
two.
you have coming up?
I have a movie coming out in the fall called Life on the Line with John Travolta and Sharon Stone, and
Nice.
the sequel to SLC Punk.
So cool.
And,
A lot of his DVDs are out too. So
yeah, there's DVDs out. And Nikita's on Netflix, and I did a movie for Fox that's a horror movie, and yeah, had a bunch of stuff.
So cool.
Yeah.
All right, you can check out Devon Sawa on Twitter at...
Devon E. Sawa.
That's the real one, guys, not the fake ones, not the imposters. J-Tan, where can we find you?
As always, JTan716, Instagram, Twitter, and the Facebook, aka Mom Book, apparently.
you can find me at
That's
G
what
Hermoza, GHERMOZA on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter. I don't know.
Okay.
MySpace.
Sure.
That was good, George. You can find me at Daria, the Jersey Devil Berenato, all over the web. We will see you guys next weekend with a super exciting fight.
No, just my friend put up a picture.
We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for having me, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.